Hi lovely, Sophia here, and today I want to talk to you about the surprising benefits of prenatal yoga. So you have probably read in a million different places how amazing it is to be able to stretch your body out, to learn how to breathe properly, to meet other mums to be, to have a regular time and slot where you're just protecting some space for you. And all of those things are fantastic. You'll understand by now that it helps to boost your immunity, that it can improve your circulation, it can help reduce puffiness, it can help to create more space within your body for your baby to move, it can help you to bond with your baby. Honestly, when I sat down to think, what am I going to include in today's Facebook Live? I had nothing short of 21 reasons, aside from all the mainstream reasons, as to why prenatal yoga is so amazing. So I thought that 21 reasons was probably a bit much to digest at lunchtime, so I will make that into a blog post and share that in the next couple of weeks. But for now, some of the benefits I would really love to share with you are just the ones that I've personally experienced with students who come to my class, and I hold all of those really dear to me because I think that every teacher has a very different experience with their students, and it's always my goal that you feel that you're in a heartwarming space, you're in a safe and nurturing space, and that whatever happens in that class is just right for you in that moment. So some of the reasons that I think prenatal yoga is amazing and some of the surprising benefits. First one, you can find that some really simple movements have very profound effects. So it might just be a particular stretch that just releases so much pain that you've been holding somewhere else. It might be something as simple as a certain kind of breath type that you find, oh gosh, that just releases my diaphragm. Or you might not say it like that. That just helps free up my chest. That gives me space so I actually feel like I can breathe again. And often we look for really complicated solutions, and we don't need to look for complicated solutions, do we? There's so many really simple things that we can tap into and just do that can make us feel so much better. Think about the power of a hug when you've had a bad day. It's not necessarily somebody wading through your tax return. Anyone else in that boat this month? I did mine last July. Anyway, you can find very much comfort, lots of comfort in very, very simple movements and simple techniques. So if you've been experiencing tightness in one part of your body or pain, the simplest of things can make that feel so much better. We don't have to go looking for complex solutions or to hold something for hours at a time or to try and get a leg behind our head. None of those things are the things that can make you feel so much better. And so when we work very much with the energy in the prenatal yoga that I teach, so there's lots and lots of emotional well-being, lots of emotional feel-good body tingles, and I think that's a really important thing to remember. Simple things, profound effects. The second one, let's not talk too much about mansplaining, but prenatal yoga helps you to take up space and to be comfortable taking up space. Now, one of my first experiences of this, I spent 8 months at one point in America, and I went to a regular yoga class while I was there, and what I kept finding was that it was a really busy class. Everyone was packed in like sardines, not in the way that I teach at all, but we were all packed in together. And so as soon as we started doing something, and I am 5'9", 9.5, sometimes 5'10", depending on how much yoga I've done. But as soon as I start to spread out, I have really big wingspan and I have pretty long legs, which means when I'm doing warrior pose and things, my gait can be really quite wide. And I would find myself apologising to the people next to me and just trying to keep myself on my mat and not get into anybody else's space. And then one day it occurred to me, it's as much my space as it is their space, so why am I the one apologising and trying to shrink down? And that was a really, really important lesson, and it's the same for you. I've had many new mums come to me and say, oh, you know, I keep apologising all the time that I've got all this stuff with me, and the days before COVID, when I would go out for coffee and I'd have to say, I'm sorry, and, you know, I've met some of my new mums out for coffee after class, and there's such a sense of needing to apologise for the fact that they have a big pushchair, or they have a baby carrier, or they have a big bag, or the baby's crying. Let's take up space, and let's be proud to take up our space. Let's own that space and show these babies, unborn or in your arms, that they have a right to be in this world, and they have a right to take up every bit of that space, as much right as every other person in that room. and everybody else outside of that room. And so when you come to prenatal yoga, the sense of having to shrink back in and, oh, am I too big, and am I squished next to somebody else if I'm on public transport, and am I just hogging too much of the bed or too much of the sofa? No, you're not. You are taking up as much space as you and that beautiful little baby of yours need to be able to feel good, to feel well, and to know that we value both of you in society, and we value babies in society. Cliche, but they are the future. Why would we just want you to keep them all small and out of the way and seen and not heard? We've pretty much left that one with the dark ages. So prenatal yoga, you've got your mat. You might be reaching over either side of your mat. Great. Even if you're at home, don't feel you have to take yourself off to some little spare room or box room or corner of your bedroom. For you and your baby in that moment, that's probably the most important thing that's happening in your home. You're nurturing, you're bonding, you are making yourself feel well, and that's one of the kindest gifts that you can give to your whole family at the same time, as well as yourself. And so take up space, be proud to take up that space. If you've got 15 blankets, 4 cushions and 3 bottles of water in there, so what? Take them, enjoy them, take up space and feel justified in taking up that space, because you deserve that space. Number 3. We help you to relax in situations you might ordinarily find stressful. Now, this is one of the most basic and yet most intricate things that I love about yoga, is we might find ourselves, and we're not going to do these in the prenatal classes, it's not part of what I teach, but when we find ourselves doing things like headstand or something that is, or a scorpion, you know, something that's really quite technical and something that is quite a big challenge. Well, a big challenge for me anyway, maybe not for some of you before. But when we find ourselves in those situations, the mind can start to tell us, I can't do this, I don't know how to do this. The body can start to feel that fear and to not be able to do this. And so when I was in India doing my original yoga teacher training back in 2010, I had to go to headstand remedial classes. So every lunchtime after my karma yoga, which involved cleaning all of the shop from top to bottom, which wasn't any dirtier than the day before because it was cleaned constantly and there was nobody in it because we were all doing our teacher training. Anyway, after I did my karma yoga, all of that cleaning, I would go to headstand class. And every day the Swami, who's our teacher, our kind of guru, would come along and he would say, oh, what are you doing? Why are you doing it like this? Come on, legs up, legs up. I didn't have the core strength to be able to do it. I was petrified to be able to go into headstand at that moment. And every day I would try again and again and again. And it took me more than a month to be able to do that headstand. And there was many tears, there was red hot tears of frustration. We also found out years afterwards that I had had a hole in my heart for my whole life. And so if you imagine tipping yourself upside down when you already have a hole in your heart and all of that blood's just, oh, anyway, too much information. But when you do yoga, it helps you adapt to really stressful situations. You're focusing on your breath, you're focusing on what's happening in your body, you are trying to relax and release anything and everything that doesn't need to be holding tension at that moment. If it doesn't need to be working, switch it off. I always say to people in class when they're doing one posture, I think, are your eyebrows working hard to do this posture? You know, are we in a frowny pose? Oh yeah, we could just release the space between the eyebrows. Are the fists clenched when we're in final relaxation, but beyond the part where we do clench the fists? And people realise, I'm just burning up energy and just holding tension by doing that. And so we release that and we let it go again. And the same in prenatal yoga, where we're not coming into positions that I would say are overly challenging. For some people, if you've never been in that position before and it's just new for you, it's an uncertain situation. It can feel a bit challenging in many ways. And so you naturally learn to regulate the feelings, to regulate the monkey mind chat that's telling you, you can't do it, you look stupid. Anyone else got one of those? Got a great tip to get rid of them. So that constant feeling of, I don't know what to do, I'm not sure, we lose that, and instead we come into, I'm in this challenging situation, I'm in this position where my head feels like it's in a vice and I'm not sure what to do. And this can be in the whole of life, not in your prenatal yoga class. And at that moment, instead of going into fight or flight, into that fearful, head spinning, monkey mind chitter chatter, instead you come into a deep breath in, a deep breath out. And with that, the clouds in your mind move out to the side. You get into the space between the clouds in your mind, the clouds being the thoughts, and then you can start to be more resourceful and find better solutions faster and feel much calmer in the process. Because if you've ever seen anybody, or even worse, anyone ever experienced that mass feeling of panic or freak out, like when I deleted 90 minutes worth of work on my website yesterday, hands up, I have. Being able to come back to the breath, to come back to the feelings of calm, just to shake it out of your body. I had almighty fit of adrenaline going through my body, the full on, oh, you just want to get rid of it. And so prenatal yoga can really help and support you to feel more comfortable in stressful situations and to automatically flip that switch from the panic mode of monkey mind and freak out to the more calm, serene swan who's going to find a solution, and you're going to push forward in a loving and compassionate way. Number 4, prenatal yoga reminds you more than anything, because we do focus a lot on the breath, a lot of slow, gentle movements and sequences. We do in my classes anyway. It reminds you that you always have the breath to fall back on. So maybe you haven't had much of a relationship with your breath. Maybe the concept of having a relationship with your breath seems quite out there right now. But actually, think about when you cry. So if you've last time you had one of those full-on snotty crying fits where everything is like, it just all feels like it's out of control and nothing's going to go right. And the first time I noticed this, I was in the bathroom at my mum's house. I was an adult and I was doing the full-on, like, really freaking out about something major that was happening in my life. And at that moment, I was running cold water over my wrists just to try and calm myself down. And I looked into the mirror and I looked straight into my eyes. And in that moment, I thought to myself, who is crying? It was a literal, who is crying? Because I could also feel this deep down well of peace inside me. So all of this freak out, emotion overload going crazy. And there was still this bit going, Sophia, who is crying? Like, everything is okay. And in that moment, everything is okay. You know, whatever it is, whatever stories I'm making up in my head, whatever I'm telling myself about whatever it was that had just happened. I can't even remember what the thing was. At that moment, it was clearly very distressing. But all of those things are just stories. They're just ideas. We've somehow made them mean something really important to us. When we can come back to the breath is always there. You know, we calm ourselves back down when we come back to the breath. So I'm not saying don't cry, don't shout, don't get mad, don't do all of those things. Of course, have all of those things, experience these emotions, but don't live through the emotions all of the time. Don't let the emotions take over and rule your day. Don't let the anger, the frustration, the fury, the distress, the sadness, the feeling hopeless, all of those things are just the fleeting kind of filter across the way. It's like me putting a pair of sunglasses in front of us right now and you looking at me through those. Like, all of those things are just the lenses through which we're looking. But actually we can come back to the breath in a really special way until we have a relationship with our own breath, until we know how to find it. We know it's always there for us when we need it. And it can really help you to feel comforted, to be more compassionate to yourself, to listen to yourself, to be softer, kinder with yourself. And when you're more present in your own body, you're more aware of how your body is feeling, of anything that you need to do in that moment to support your body. And you also get a sense of how other people are around you because you're present. And so when you're with the breath, you are present. And all of your power is in the present moment. So when you take yourself back to the breath, you're in a really special place. And for prenatal yoga, for all of your time that you are pregnant, having the breath there is a beautiful reminder. No matter how much you're worried, no matter how many times you're up to the loo in the middle of the night, every time just take your awareness back to that breath, back to that softness, calmness, strength and power. And recognise that when you're in tune with your breath, the people around you will also come across eventually as more calm. Because when you're calm, they start to pick that up and they become more calm. Works brilliantly with children, really well with animals, occasionally with grumpy husbands. So the breath is a really good thing for you to have to come back to. And number 5, and this is by no means least, it's one of the many of 21. Number 5, what do you think it might be? You can lose some of your inhibitions through prenatal yoga. So you may have heard of really random things that happen in prenatal yoga classes. Actually not that random, just a different set of beliefs and a different way of running the class. You may have heard of whispering to your vagina. We don't do that in my class. You're welcome to do it in my class, but I don't teach it in my class. You may think that there's going to be clouds of incense and clouds of smoke all over the room. So no, we're not going to have that either, because we want to take lovely deep breaths in. So we're not going to welcome clouds of that stuff in our room or in your home. But it is a really good way for you to lose your inhibitions. So one of my mums said to me last year when she came to my in-person class, that it was the only class she felt she could come to where it didn't matter if she belched halfway through a session, if her boobs were hanging out because she had on a crop top and her boobs had just grown to mammoth proportions and she'd never experienced this before. She wasn't bothered if she needed to go to the loo 15 times because nobody was looking at her going, are you incontinent? Do you have some kind of problem? Do you have an overactive bladder? She just felt really comfortable in all of those things. Yes, she giggled a lot when we used words like vagina or anus or perineum or breasts. She would just kill herself laughing to start with, and over time she took real joy in the laughter until she didn't need the laughter anymore because she hadn't gone back into that kind of teenage bit weird kind of twirly hair mode. She just really chilled out and enjoyed the experience of being there. She was happy to be there to talk about some of the most intimate things in her life with women who at the time were complete strangers to her and who very quickly became many of her friends and peers moving forward, and still best friends. Probably going to be best friends for the next 20 years plus and be meeting up for reunions wherever they are. And so we lose our inhibitions. We are comfortable to embrace our bodies. Perhaps there's occasions now where you don't feel comfortable to have your hands on your bump in public, or you don't feel comfortable to adjust your bra strap, or you don't feel comfortable to just hold your boobs and give them a good squeeze from time to time because they just don't feel comfy. And all of a sudden you're going to have that. You can get up and down from wherever you are and huff and puff. And this is as much at home as it is in an in-person class, because we can still feel inhibited. You know, we often still think, we must sit really closely with our knees together and our ankles together, and that is good if you have pelvic girdle pain. But actually just losing the inhibition that you have to be in a certain way. If you want to rub your buttocks because your hips are tight and that helps you, do it. If you want to bounce around in a ball for 5 minutes, do it. You know, prenatal yoga, home, in person, whatever, virtual class, whatever way you're doing it, it can really help you to lose those inhibitions. We do make some interesting noises in my prenatal yoga classes. Sometimes you do what's called the poo humming, so you're breathing out and you're imagining you're doing a poo, and at the same time you're doing a great big deep humming. Sometimes we use Brahmari breath, which is just another lovely way for you to release lots of carbon dioxide, to release and slacken through the jaw, to clear the head of those monkey mind thoughts again, and also for your baby to feel that lovely vibration all the way back down into your body. And so all of those things are just ways for you to lose the feeling that you have to be a certain way. You don't have to be the floaty goddess throughout pregnancy. If you are, that's fantastic. You don't have to be. You can come in your leggings. And I remember one of my mums turned up the first week in what looked to me like a crop top, and she said, it's not a crop top, it's my t-shirt, my bump's just so big, my belly's hanging out underneath. But actually so many pregnant women also feel like they want to hide away and shy away and keep their bumps, you know, hidden from other people, even from their partners. It's not uncommon for women to feel really, really self-conscious about all of these changes that are happening in their mind. But when we teach you and encourage you through an online class to sit on the ground, to let your legs splay out to the side as long as that's comfortable for you to scoop the flesh of your buttocks out to the side, for you to start feeling the sensations between your legs just with body awareness, no touching, to be able to start all of these things, you're going to lose some inhibitions. And let's face it, who do you think is going to have a more comfortable birth? Somebody who is a really shy, uptight, retiring wallflower, or somebody who's able to get down into a yoga position, get down into an active and comfortable birth position, to take up space, to use their voice and have the confidence to let people know how they feel, to be able to tune into their breath anytime they like and go off into their bubble anytime that they want to be able to get themselves to feel calm in stressful and uncertain situations. Who do you think is going to have the better birth? Chances are it's going to be the person who is able to do all of those things. I'm sure there are many other ways to access those things, but for me, prenatal yoga is one of those amazing, amazing gifts that I love to share with people. So let me just run through those 5 for you again. And as I said, I do have 21 of them, but I will put the others into a post, into a blog post, and share. So number 1, simple moves and sequences that we practice in prenatal yoga can really help you to have profound effects and benefits. Number 2, take up space and be comfy and confident and strong and proud of yourself for being able to do it. Take it up that space with dignity, because you deserve it for you and your baby. Number 3, helps you to relax in situations that you might usually find stressful. That might be anything from sitting in the doctor's surgery to waiting to see your midwife. Anything that you find stressful, you can start to feel more comfortable, stronger and calmer in your own mind. Number 4, you've always got your breath to fall back on. No matter what crazy stuff is happening out there, if you can find your calm centre, your grounded place back deep within you, then you're just going to be in so much of a better state, a more resourceful state to handle whatever comes. Number 5, helps you to lose your inhibitions. I have sat in classes where one woman at one end of the room is crying hysterically because she's just stressed and her hormones are going crazy, and someone at the other end is laughing hysterically. And so we've got the two variations, crying hysterically, laughing hysterically. And we all find our place within that, and we get comfortable with the feelings everybody else is experiencing. So it's a lovely, lovely way just to come back to centre. So I am running just as a little sign off, I am running a mini retreat workshop on Saturday, January the 30th at 11:45. It will be lots of prenatal yoga, hypnobirthing, some mindset work, some deep relaxation, and anything else that we decide that we would love to share between now and then. So I'll pop a little note underneath the replay of this Facebook Live, and if you'd love to join us, it's a free workshop. There's no obligation to come, there's no obligation to do anything beyond that, but obviously I would love to support you through your pregnancy. So I'll pop the details down below. I hope you've enjoyed that today. Have a gorgeous day, whatever you're up to next. I'm at my mum's just now, so I'm going home shortly to see if my central heating has made the house any warmer, because it's just been newly installed this week. And trust me, you need some yoga breathing for when your house is upside down with bits of radiators and pipes everywhere. So I will leave it there. Lots of love. Talk soon. Bye bye for now.